tell you how 30 for 30 came to pass. So, obviously, the conversation begins with education. And anyone that knows me knows that most serious conversations in my life begin with my grandfather. One of my grandfathers, he didn't finish the 3rd grade. He was a sharecropper and a security guard. But he made sure that my dad understood that with a good work ethic and a strong commitment to his education, he could be anything that he wanted to be. My other grandfather taught biology for 32 years. My mom will tell you that he was the hardest teacher that she ever had. Yeah. The good thing about my life is I learned as much from the sharecropper as I did from the biology teacher. And what I learned is that the conversation begins and ends with education. So the first layer to pull back here about 30 for 30 is this origin story that began in Mississippi and starts with my grandfathers and the messages and the lessons they passed down to my parents. The second level of 30 for 30 really is with my fiance. Wave your hand, baby. So that's Whitney. And I'll tell you about Whitney. Whitney is my best friend. She's my backbone and she's my moral compass. She's also an extreme birthday enthusiast. and if you don't believe me, you think this is a party, wait till she turns 30. You'll see what I mean. Whitney asked me several times last fall, baby, what are you going to do for your birthday? And I'm like, nothing, Whitney. What are you going to do for your birthday? Nothing. Why don't you want to do anything for your birthday? And I said, because my birthday doesn't matter, Whitney. But Whitney being Whitney issued this challenge. She said, make it matter. And that resonated with me. And so we said, we would try to use my 30th birthday and whatever energy surrounded it to try to do something for a topic that we cared about. And Whitney and I care a whole heck of a lot about Dallas. We buy into Southern Dallas. And we know that the conversation begins and ends with education. So the first question we had to ask ourselves was, how much are we going to try to raise for 30 for 30? Now, I'll confess, there was a point in time in which I said, we should raise an amount of money that we know we can hit. Right? sort of rigging the game, if you will. But we're not built like that. My family's not made that way. This mayor isn't made that way. And the city's not made that way. So we set up a more ambitious number and said, okay, let's try to raise 10,000. I promise you that made me feel a little sick because I couldn't see how we were going to get there. The day that we sent you all the email on April 27th to join us in the 30 for 30 cause, I said to myself, I don't know how we're going to get here. The story changed for me one Sunday at my church in Southern Dallas, Concord to be exact. And my pastor, Brian Carter, reminded me that if we'll have faith the size of a mustard seed, we can say to the mountain, go from here to there, and it'll move. When I heard that, I said, okay, I got it. Yeah, this is what we're supposed to be doing. But the most touching thing that came out of that sort of reminder from my pastor is that he had put mountain movers in my life. And you're here today. You looked at a $10,000 mountain and you said, move. An $11,000 mountain, be gone. 12,000, 13,000, we moved those mountains together. And the truth of the matter is, I couldn't have done this by myself. I couldn't have done it with just Whitney. And as a matter of fact, we couldn't have done it with just the folks in this room because there are over 100 people that donated to this cause that couldn't even make it out today. My favorite thing about the room right now is that you take Mother Teresa's words seriously. Now, she said, the problem with the world is that we draw the circle of our families too small. Now, if you look around, you look very different. You know, there are some different complexions, some different cities, some different experiences in here. But you know that this is what a family must look like. Now, raise your hand. How many of you are from Southern Dallas? How many of you have kids that go to school in DISD? And so what we learned from looking around, and if you didn't see, it was like 2 hands from Southern Dallas, a hand with kids in school in DISD. What we learned is that we don't have to be from a certain place to buy in. What you realize is that the collective American project of educating all kids the very best we can is the work that we all must be trying to do together. And what moves me nearly to tears is the fact that you guys get that. And you buy into it. You came from Oklahoma. You came from Mississippi. You came from Florida. You came from north of the river. I don't care where you came from, you're here doing the work that we need to do. The last level that I'll pull back for you is the third reason why we're doing this 30 for 30 thing. My last year at Harvard Law School, I had the tremendous fortune of interning in Mayor Rawlings' office. And Paula, who's his chief of staff, issued 2 challenges to me. She said, 1, take a look at all the plans to redevelop, rebrand, regrow, regenerate, whatever you could think of Southern Dallas. And 2, tell us what we can do differently. And I sat in front of this mayor, and he asked me, what can be the difference between what we're doing today and what's been done before? And my message was really simple. Live it. Live it. McKinsey did plans. The Office of Economic Development did plans. But the challenge that the mayor has taken up is to walk what he's talking. Is to make Growing South a centerpiece of what he's trying to do in the city. And the thing that makes me the proudest about you being here today is that you turn on the television, you open the paper, the mayor's talking about Southern Dallas. The mayor is moving momentum and getting the philanthropic community, the business community, focused on buying into Southern Dallas. And the best thing that this mayor has said about Southern Dallas and why we're doing this effort for Grow South is that Southern Dallas is not a charity case, but it's an investment opportunity. And so, what I want to do is I want to bring the mayor up because we raised the money for his fund. Again, north of $13,000. Give yourself a round of applause. And I just want us to generally hear a little bit from him about why we're doing this, what Grow South means, why it's important. If you'll join me in warmly receiving my mayor, Mike Rawlings. Thank you.
I don't know if you're trying to get my job or the but you're doing a damn good job. I'm telling you right now. Is he good or what? Okay. All right, so we got to be proud of this. Thank you very much. And on behalf of the Grow South Initiative and the citizens of all of Dallas, we appreciate the gift that you're giving on your birthday. I think that that's a tradition kind of in England where they give stuff on their birthdays, and I think it's a great, as opposed to getting stuff, they give stuff, and I think that's a wonderful thing that you did. So thank you, Whitney. Thank you for challenging him. And besides being a good speaker, he's he's romantic too. It was like, oh my goodness, I got a little warm fuzzies there. But, you know, what you said is exactly right. That there's been a lot of talk in Dallas for many years. And it's really been kind of politically correct talk, because people know that, you know, you need to care about people, and so you've got to think about these sort of things. But the action has not been there. And it's really the reason I decided to become mayor. I say that not to talk about me, but to say that it's really an exciting thing to say that we as a city can do something significant. We did it with building DFW. I mean, it was a game changer for Dallas-Fort Worth. I mean, we are going to be a hub for the Western Hemisphere long term because of that airport. It was a big deal that happened. in the late 60s and early 70s. We have the opportunity to do something that significant. And that's what gets me up in the morning and gets me excited about it. But I'd never done this before. I'd run businesses, but I'd never really, tried to do this. And I said, we've got to think of this thing differently. And one of my heroes is Martin Luther King Jr., and not for the reasons you normally think, even though I admire his stand and his courage and his giving his life, but he was one of the most creative people that this country had ever known. His mind looked at things in a different fashion. First of all, he learned that first steal a good idea. And he stole Mahatma Gandhi's idea of pacifism. In America, had never seen that before. And to be able to be a pacifist changed the whole equation, and it made us leaps and bounds faster, further. So as I started thinking about Southern Dallas, we tried to kind of turn it on its head and not just have programs that needed to be funded, but to realize that the answer that we needed, besides the answer of the soul, which is a big thing, and besides Pastor Carter, we've got so many great faith-based leaders in the city. We needed to move capital. We needed to move money. And the best way to do that, capital, by its nature, seeks where it's treated best. It doesn't go where you spit on it. You don't say, give me some money. Okay? Nobody gives you any money that way. People give you money if you say, come here. Come here. I got a way for you to make some money. And then people go, what? How can I help? And I think that's what we're trying to do, is to treat Southern Dallas like the opportunity it is and it deserves. Now, I will end where he started. And while that capital is very important, ultimately, neighborhoods have got to be created. Because you've got to have heads and beds, okay, to be able to support business enterprise in Southern Dallas. And we've got a lot of places where we don't have the population and the per capita that we need. The thing that's going to change that is the thing that changed your life, and that's education. That ultimately is the game changer. And it's tough because we're talking about generational stuff. We need to be thinking about the 4-year-olds today. And it's not easy because that's a long-term perspective, but you just get those third graders doing better, then there's hope. Then you get the middle schools better, and people say, I think I like it here. I can now send my kid to middle school. And then the high school, and so it starts to take place in that momentum. So I'm proud that we've got a city that attracts a young man and a young woman like this. I've said to be a great city, we have to be young, and I don't qualify anymore for that, okay? And we got to be smart. And I don't know if I qualify next to you guys, okay? Harvard graduate. That's just embarrassing. And it's great to have a city that is doing that. And so, thank you for making a difference on your 30th birthday. We've got a lot of places that we will spend that money against our plan, and we've got to kind of get the story out about what you've done, because then other folks, and everybody in this room that made a difference, and all the people that are outside this room that made a difference on this, is from the depth of my heart, I want to say thank you.